Tonight, cities in flames, sirens screaming through the freezing dark, and a war that shows no sign of slowing down. Just hours after the deadliest missile barrage of the year, Russia has launched yet another wave of drones and strikes across Ukraine. Homes reduced to rubble, power grid shattered, civilians running for shelter as winter temperatures plunge below minus 20 degrees Celsius. And as bombs fall, the message from Moscow is blunt: make concessions or the war continues. So is this a turning point or the beginning of an even more dangerous phase? Another day, another round of deadly strikes, air raid sirens echoed across Ukrainian cities as Russian drones and missiles rained down overnight. Explosions lit up the skies over Zaporizhzhia, Odesa, and eastern regions already scarred by months of fighting. Residential buildings were hit. Fires spread through neighborhoods. Emergency crews rushed through smoke-filled streets as families fled with whatever they could carry. This comes just a day after what Ukrainian officials describe as the largest and deadliest missile barrage of the year, targeting Kyiv and other major cities. The pace of attacks suggests a clear pattern. Russia is intensifying its campaign, not easing it. Authorities say some strikes hit civilian areas, including markets and infrastructure zones, raising fears over the use of weapons with wide impact zones in populated places. For people on the ground, the war is not a headline, it's a daily fight to survive. The situation is growing more dangerous in frontline regions. Ukrainian officials report that villages near active combat zones are now under intensified attack, forcing urgent evacuations. Buses that once ran regularly are now scarce. Roads that were passable weeks ago are becoming too risky. One aid worker described the change starkly. A month ago, entry and exit from these towns was difficult, but possible. Today, every trip carries far greater risk. Shelling is more frequent, damage is more widespread. The window to get civilians out safely is shrinking. Families are leaving homes they may never see again. Elderly residents, children, and the injured are being moved away from advancing front lines as Ukrainian forces brace for further pressure. But Ukraine is not standing still. In response to the escalating assaults, Ukrainian forces have launched drone strikes across the border targeting areas inside Russia. One such strike reportedly hit the border region of Belgorod, disrupting power and sending parts of the city into darkness. These retaliatory strikes show that the battlefield is no longer confined strictly within Ukraine's borders. The conflict is increasingly marked by cross-border attacks, signaling a wider and more unpredictable phase. While Russia continues large-scale bombardments, Ukraine is trying to show it can hit back, both strategically and symbolically. All this unfolds just ahead of high-level diplomatic discussions, including talks involving multiple parties in Abu Dhabi, but expectations are low. The Kremlin has made its position clear. The war will continue unless Ukraine agrees to Russian demands. Central to those demands is territory, particularly regions in eastern Ukraine, including Donbas. Moscow has warned it is prepared to seize more territory by force if diplomacy fails. For Ukraine, conceding land would mean accepting permanent losses and setting a precedent many see as dangerous. So the talks are overshadowed by battlefield realities. Diplomacy is happening, but missiles are flying at the same time. Beyond the front lines, another battle is unfolding, the battle for energy. Large-scale strikes on Ukraine's energy infrastructure have left thousands without electricity, heating, and running water. Power stations, substations, and transmission lines have been repeatedly targeted, and this is happening in deep winter. Temperatures have dropped as low as minus 20 degrees Celsius in some regions. Without heat, homes turn into ice boxes. Hospitals must rely on generators. Families gather in warming centers when they can find them. The energy crisis is not just an inconvenience, it's a humanitarian emergency. Each blackout adds to the strain on civilians already exhausted by months of war. Behind every statistic is a human story. Parents calming children during air raids, volunteers distributing blankets in freezing shelters, medics working nonstop amid power outages. Some Ukrainians now speak with grim realism. Many believe the war will end only through negotiations, but not soon, not this month, not even this year. There is a growing fear that the conflict is settling into a long, grinding struggle with no quick resolution. The psychological toll is immense. Fatigue is spreading, but so is determination. Russia's strategy appears twofold: military pressure, constant strikes, advances on the ground, and attacks on infrastructure; political pressure, signaling that the only way to stop the destruction is for Ukraine to concede. The message from Moscow is stark: compromise or brace for worse. But Kyiv argues that giving in would not bring lasting peace, only invite future aggression. That leaves both sides locked in positions that are difficult to reconcile. So what lies ahead? If the fighting continues at this pace, Ukraine faces ongoing infrastructure damage, civilian displacement, and winter hardship. Russia, meanwhile, continues to commit major resources in a campaign that shows no immediate sign of winding down. Diplomatic meetings may offer dialogue, but the battlefield still appears to be driving the timeline. Will there be a breakthrough, a stalemate, or a deeper escalation? Right now, none of those paths look simple. As missiles fall and negotiations loom, Ukraine stands at a critical moment. The country is under pressure from the skies, from the front lines, and from the cold of winter itself. For civilians, the question is not politics, it's survival. For leaders, the choices ahead could shape the region for years to come. One thing is clear tonight: the war is far from over. To stay updated with global developments and in-depth coverage, follow our channel and stay connected for the latest reports.